Hi, this is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald. Welcome to my Star OS Week in Review podcast. This is podcast number 48. Any articles or videos mentioned can be found in my news recap number 97, which is located on my website at intergalacticherald.com. Just look for news. While you're there, please sign up for my weekly newsletter, which basically includes all those links. You'll get it delivered to your mailbox Sunday evening, 5 p.m. Evening, Pacific Standard Time. So I guess we call that news recap kind of a companion to this podcast because I use it for the source of all the thoughts and updates and analysis that I do related to the world of Star Atlas. So before we get started, just a quick summary of some of the things we'll be going over. Just briefly mention a new Star Atlas ship that was released. Talk a little bit about the latest Atlas brew where the economics team was on. Mention some announcements from Star Atlas, an upcoming community week. Also, more kind of the analysis section or just my thoughts, my ramblings. Beyond the Horizon put out a couple great videos that spurred some thoughts about Star Atlas, and then I'll kind of end up with sort of my take on who is a target gamer for Star Atlas. So before we get into that, just a couple self-promotions of Star Atlas projects I'm working on, in addition to the Intergalactic Herald, which has a news recap, some how-to guides, especially for beginners to get up. I guess you can't call it the new home, but the permanent home of the former Star Atlas Guilds.com. Moved the content over there after that person who created it no longer wanted to host the website, and creating some directories of Star Atlas content creators, builders, tools, continuing trying to build that out there. So anyway, so that's intergalacticherald.com. Also slowly, and I'll admit some momentum with the winter break, but my Star Atlas merch store has fallen by the wayside. Haven't been able to work on it for a couple weekends now, and just too many other things going on in my life. Unfortunately, this is lower down on the priority thing. But if you go to intergalacticgear.com, I do have a merch survey. Love to get some feedback on what kind of Star Atlas merchandise you might be interested in purchasing. So as I build out that infrastructure business in the building out the e-commerce side of it right now, and the fulfillment I guess it was called fulfillment side of the different merchandise items. Again, if you go to intergalacticgear.com, fill out that merch survey, greatly appreciate any feedback. If you drop your email in that survey, I'll definitely be one of the first people to know when I do finally launch. Second thing, trying to develop what I'm calling a non-guild guild, or basically just a community of Star Atlas gamers called the Intergalactic Coalition. This is designed to be, first a paid community. Partly the reason for the payment is so I can purchase a different community platform, different than Discord, which of course is free, but it's also based on more of chat. And, I can't keep up. If you go away for a day, you don't know what's going on. So this platform will actually allow for threaded discussions. You'll get email alerts on discussions you'd like to keep updated on. So I think it's a just different type of community platform. But again, trying to frame it kind of more like a non-guild guild where, again, just want to hang out, kind of get some of the benefits of being some similar people that are talking and playing Star Atlas. So intergalacticcoalition.com, and please fill out that interest survey there. Once I get enough interest in that, I'll reach out to those people about the next steps on how to kind of help support and facilitate getting that community set up. So moving on to the content section. So one of the first things that came out in the past week from Star Atlas was a new ship called the Sledge Barge. I guess it's it's a big ship. I don't know really the difference between Capital and Commander and all that. But anyways, it's a freight ship. So it's going to have lots of storage capacity. Sounds like maybe the largest one for that. So definitely some benefits if you're playing the Sage game right now for helping with that. But a couple, to me anyways, curious things. One, even though I suppose it's on discount, the purchase price is $13,750 USDC. I mean, I know that's not a car. Cars are way more expensive than that, but I'm sorry, that's just a non-starter there. Wish we could get some sort of freight ship designed for the smaller range ships. But my other thought is, why now? Why is this released? I know they've came out with, what was their ship? The Data Runner ship. Forget the name. Don't care about the name, actually. Didn't forget it. Don't care. And I guess the mining ships came out. Seems like there was one other ship in the middle. But anyways, so I'm just curious why release it now. I haven't really heard they had a announcement of getting back to releasing ships. Though as I went through those different 3 ships there, this freight ship, the data runner ship, and the mining ships, I had never thought of this until saying those, but I guess they all do kind of make sense. They're all related to gameplay mechanics within Sage. Freight, data running, which is scanning for SDUs, and of course, obviously the mining. So I'm going to kind of change my thought. Maybe they kind of do make sense. Again, strange that there wasn't any announcement of like, hey, we're going to release these ships to enhance your play of Sage. But maybe that is what they're doing. Again, don't know. Announcements are very random. Anyways, but nevertheless, $13,000 in cold hard cash. I don't know who could afford it. And to be blunt, I don't know why anybody's investing in Star Atlas right now too. I guess there's lots of announcements of, improvements in the UE5. The definitely a week before the Metagravity test was very interesting. But yeah, I mean, it's not like this ship's going to show up in the UE5 version and race around the track or something like that. So I guess this is just for Sage. I mean, maybe that's fine, good enough. And I guess there'll be a theme of this podcast. Is this just for whales? Again, these are just thoughts that come up. Don't have answers, just thoughts I have. So moving on, this past week on the Atlas Brew, the economy team was guests on there. So it was Chris, I think, the head of economics, and Gareth, who also works in economics. So it was really great. I do always appreciate on the Atlas Brews when there are other team members come on, because that is pretty much outside the foundation room, which again, we're not allowed to talk about as content creators. That's really the only in-depth non-Twitter posts that we get from the Star Atlas team. So that's great when they do come on the Atlas Brew. So they went over the past economic report, which I admit I'd kind of already forgot because it came out, I think, right before Christmas, and then the team went on break, and well, people were busy with other things. So if you're interested in kind of getting a human review update of that was great. The only couple things that kind of took away, and I admit I was multitasking, doing some household chores, so I wasn't totally like listening for retention purposes. Oh, and just as an aside, I have to admit, even though I enjoy these things, I kind of get to be great weekend routines to listen to, I just honestly just don't really register much anymore. And again, I kind of had this in one of my December ones. It's just really hard to get motivated when something's said and then weeks go by or a month goes by and then something else is said and it doesn't match what you remember a month ago. And again, I'm not faulting the team for changing their mind and different ideas, and they're working out what they're trying to accomplish. But again, in ear one out the ear, in one ear out the other ear, because none of this seems to build upon each other. Which again, it's a theme of this podcast. But there was some talk about I think they're the RFRs, the new thing that kind of replaced the golden tickets, but also was the new object that you can craft some stuff in Sage and not sell it for Atlas. I can't remember. It was a really good definition that Chris had for how it works in the economic system. But anyways, it was basically the way you can now get Atlas. And I think, well, it was also the justification for why they reduced the output of Score. But in the bigger picture, obviously the team has been working toward getting rid of Score because it's not a game. So they needed to have some way that people could earn Atlas because, well, anyway, it makes sense. So that was a really great explanation. Of course, like I said, I was busy doing chores. So if you want to learn more about it, I strongly recommend check out that Atlas Brew. You can find a link to one of the live stream recordings from Star Atlas TV if you go to intergalactichero.com and look for news recap number 97. Strangely I shouldn't say strangely, it was just interesting that the Atlas Brew ended, but people kept talking. So again, I'm not ever able to listen to these live. I'm working when it comes out Wednesdays at my time. So these are never live events for me. So I don't know if Star Atlas TV just kept the recording going or if they always talk after. But anyway, so there was just some extra talk. But one of the things that did come out again is one of the teases about this public roadmap that's coming. But it's been coming. And now it was mentioned that, oh, well, it'll for sure be here before March. And I'm like, March. Okay. You say you're going to do a public roadmap. You're going to put on the roadmap what's coming, but you're not going to put dates, and you're working on it, and it's still not ready. Again, why are you even saying this? And then I was going back to, at not the last breakpoint, but the breakpoint before, there was this massive roadmap put out with all the releases of Sage. I think that's when Sage was actually released or announced. And then different things in the UE5, because there's, I can't remember, is it seasons in the UE5 and versions? I don't know. Anyways, there was tons and tons of future stuff. And so in one sense, I would love to see a new roadmap to see if any of that's still correct. Because again, we had this massive Sage game manual, which again, occasionally gets still referenced, but is like, that's still what's going to happen. I don't remember Starbased, the next version of Shades, definitely not the 3D stuff, definitely not. Well, anyways, definitely think it's time for a new roadmap. In the old days, there was a Notion site that had a roadmap. But, and again, this is just me. I'm getting kind of tired of the teasing. I know it was mentioned that Star Atlas as a team is going back and forth between big announcements and town halls and open transparency and telling people everything. But, and again, I guess I'm on a soapbox, but you say something, have a plan to actually deliver it. And I'll use the perfect example. They mentioned at the last breakpoint that crew packs were coming out in first quarter 2024, and now it's already been mentioned, maybe in the middle of the year. I don't know. But again, I have a thread going on this one, so we'll move on. The other thing that was mentioned in I think it was on their Medium post, maybe it came out as an email, I don't know, but Star Atlas announced this community week that's coming up. I think it's the end of February. It's coinciding with the 100th episodes of the Atlas Brew. So apparently it's going to have 5 days of events. All these events seem to be very specific, focused around Discord and Discord events, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. But again, so if I am assuming these are all kind of going to be during the day, U.S. time. So anyways, some event, some to be announced event, the Atlas Brew. And then they had two, I guess we'll call it second editions, episodes, I don't know, whatever, of previously. One was COPA, which I forget what it stands for, but it's basically going to be sort of the Star Atlas guilds to kind of show what they've been working on. I think there's an award, so in some sense it's this award show, and there'll be judges, and I think I think it said that they'll get some land plots or something. So anyway, so I think for the guilds, actually that's really great to get, again, Star Atlas sponsored event where they have an opportunity to kind of say who they are and descriptions and what they've been working on. So I think that's actually a really great opportunity, again, for the guilds to get some promotion. I must admit, I'm kind of curious to see who actually shows up, because there has been kind of waning guild things. Some of the guilds have their own events, like Metaverse Explorers for Rome Guild. So they do their weekly live stream, which is great. Haven't heard about the club in a while. AFIA, of course, has their newsletter, which I read and think a lot of great information comes out of Funcracker. And I know there's other guilds, but be hard-pressed to mention what they've been doing. So I think this is a great opportunity maybe to restart that and get some more promotions for the guilds. Then the other event is going to be the Joni Awards. For people who've been around Star Atlas, this was a kind of community award where people could vote. And again, if you go to Intergalactic Herald, look for News Recap number 7, look for that link. That'll take you to the Medium article, which will take you to the Google form where you can fill out. And they have like, I think, I don't know, seemed like 9+ categories this year, from content creator to IP project to things. So again, I think this is great. Really allows an opportunity for both promotion of community members that are working on things. And again, getting awards always great. So definitely check that out if you're interested. Next content piece this week, the past week, Beyond the Horizon, one of the content creators who does lots of YouTube, has been starting a new kind of series called Sage versus Score. As of this recording, I think it was number 3 or 4 episodes in. And he was trying to show how much Atlas you could earn in Score, and then he was moving to how much you could earn in Sage. And so first I want to compliment, that's just a great content thing, and I think very interesting, lots of good questions. I actually appreciate the kind of ad hocness to how he's recording, getting community feedback, changing what he's doing. Didn't think about that. I mean, again, we all obviously love a polished how-to guide with step-by-step instructions, but actually I really like that kind of transparency and the openness of, hey, I'm figuring this out. Somebody suggested this. I forgot that. Yeah, I mean, again, he's a gamer like all of us. So definitely encourage you if you'd like to watch. If nothing else, there's humor and he's really great with sound effects and things like that. So, but as of the end of episode 3, he did kind of come to the conclusion that yes, Sage was slightly better earning Atlas than Score, but there is some caveats to that. And he mentioned it, but I also picked up on things. And again, this is really biased because I've had this problem with Sage and I've put it on my podcast before about how much time it takes, and time is money too. So if you're not counting your actual time, I don't think it's really a fair comparison. But nevertheless, he brought up a couple points of how much time he did take, and he noted both the actual time in game and the time between when he could run commands. And again, reference that video for those things because it was still, I'm going to call it interruption. So I think in the end it was like he earned 30 some more Atlas tokens. But again, if you actually did the price of Atlas, if you sold that for USDC, I mean, we're talking pennies. But what I thought was interesting, he made a comment that he actually got up early one day to run some commands in Sage before he went off to his real job. And I mean, I mean, I'm not saying he's not aware of this, but again, just as a, whatever call it, analysis, you're getting up early to do something in a quote game that affects now your real life. Now, again, I'm not making any judgments. I mean, how many hours you sleep, whatever. But again, I guess this is the theme here of this podcast about your time and what Star Atlas as a game is. So I just found that really interesting. But nevertheless, great video, great series of videos. Strongly encourage you to take a listen. He then came out with I think it's the 4th one in the series, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if the title had number 4, so that's what. But anyways, it was about a tutorial of a lab assistant. So I think I may have brought this up in the past podcast, but there are some now community members who are now building tools, assistants, whatever you want to call them, for Sage, or I guess it could be anything in Star Atlas, before Star Atlas. And there's been lots of debate back and forth on whether or not these tools are approved by the team or allowed by the team. In fact, Metaverse Explorer had a video where he showed some of the tools he was using, but he wasn't, or no, sorry, he wanted to show, but he wasn't sure because of the team. And I kind of commented on his YouTube video that, well, the team says they're using them. They've obviously mentioned this other tool. He was kind of afraid, well, maybe he'd get banned if he put out a video. And I said, well, then Star Atlas needs to be more consistent on this. And I know they apparently don't want to take a stance on it, which again, I get it. But yeah, anyways. So this lab assistant tutorial was actually great because he sort of played a video from another content creator called Satoshi Mama, if I got all that right. So he was playing her tutorial, which then is a tutorial of another tool called Lab Assistants, I think by Slygroove. And again, it was a video of a video of someone else. So, but hey, it's all meta and, somebody's referencing somebody else. That's all great. But my biggest takeaway from all of this was, to me, at least in the current iteration of Sage, the future needs additive automation tools. Clicking buttons to harvest resources, to mine them, to craft them. Well, and again, as I have mentioned before, that's just not a gameplay style I'm very interested in, nor have the time for. Hence my theme of engagement and tools that are games, having fun games and things like that. So, as I've said before, Sage to me just isn't fun or engaging, but I do believe it's a true way to interact with the economy of Star Atlas. So in that sense, it's very important. But I'm starting to think more and more, and I want to give the team the benefit of the doubt here. But again, kind of going back to something that I said earlier about the roadmap and things like that, I honestly not 100% sure what's coming down. We've heard Starbase and we've heard Combat. And maybe the roadmap will make some of this more sense, but the lack of what we're going for the future. And I know I'm harping on this. I might know more, but it's in the foundation room, so I can't talk about it. So in the public channels, what's coming down or what's next is incredibly vague. So I'm looking forward to a roadmap. But I started thinking more and more about, well, if Sage isn't what I would like, what would I like? And About the same time, I was reading my latest issue of PC Gamer, and it had a cover story for a game called Homeworld 3. So Homeworld 1 was way longer, like two decades ago. So yes, I am old. But I remember playing it because it was a space game, but it was an RTS. And if anybody's played RTS, you know that there's almost always some sort of resource gathering gameplay. Now, is that what Sage is now? Are we gathering resources? I kind of think so. So I started thinking more and more about, why isn't Sage an RTS? And I mean an RTS, not this whatever we got now. And again, teams building stuff, who knows what their final vision is. So again, this isn't like criticizing what they have out now. I get it. They're developing a game in public with cost ramifications, with layoffs, all that stuff. It's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying what I want to play. So let's just say it was an RTS. And I'm like, okay, now it makes more sense. Yeah, I'm out harvesting resources. I have harvesters. And again, Homeworld has this. Age of Empires has villagers. Command and Conquer, I think they called them harvesters. So they were just individual single units that went out and grabbed resources and brought it back. And just as I said, another RTS I played, Supreme Commander, it had two resources. It had mass and it had energy. And you would harvest those two, and then you would build factories, and the factories would pump out ships. And yeah, admittedly, this is probably not the Star Atlas model of hundreds or thousands of individual units that go out and combine battles. But again, that's not my point. My point is why I like RTSs and why I would find Sage as an RTS way more engaging. But really, the point of all this is the automation tools. RTSs are completely automated. I tell a villager in Age of Empires to harvest food from a farm, and the villager just does that until it runs out of food in the farm, and then I got to build another farm. So again, there's still you got to watch your economy, but you're not micromanaging. And I think that's the key word. Sage currently right now is for micromanagers. I am not a micromanager. I do not like micromanaging. Yeah, anyways. But again, I'm talking about my gameplay style. You may have a different one. You may like it. That's perfectly fine. My podcast, I get to just talk whatever I want to talk about. So that's the thing I think it finally dawned on me. Sage is for micromanagers. If you like that, great, go, fine. But I'm not liking that. So it's not there. So yes, again, I think if we could come up either as the team to build automation tools or the community to build automation tools to take the current stage, and again, forget the interface, forget all the buttons. I don't care. It's on the blockchain. But to come up with a tool that basically somehow could automate the collection of resources, then it becomes strategy. And I remember, I forget who, Witticus, I think, from Rome, commented on one of my previous ones that it doesn't take any skill in Sage. To click a button does not take skill, but to set up an economic supply chain, of course, takes skill, takes strategy. Totally agree. But I think the only way to do that right now is automation. And we, small gamers, don't have the automation. Or if it does exist, and again, I only skim the video, it's rudimentary, which is perfectly fine. I guess I should stop now. My point is, I think to make Sage much more like an RTS game, or even a turn-based game where you queue up a whole bunch of actions and then it takes 5 hours to execute them all, that could be the way forward. Should the community build it? Should the team build it? Is the team going to build it? Again, don't know. We don't know the roadmap anymore. So that to me is there. So wrapping all this back up, really appreciate Bring on the Horizon showing another content creator's tutorial of a tool that was built by a community member. So I think, again, this is all great. And if I had the time to learn the tool, maybe I'd get into it and maybe it would all make sense. But let's move on to my final topic, which really takes and encapsulate everything I've been kind of rambling on about today, which is basically who is the target gamer for Star Atlas. And again, I would claim this has been a theme of many, many podcasts. And I've probably personalized it of what I want to do. But maybe I step back ever so briefly and go to the main homepage of StarAtlas.com, and there's a description there. It says, a grand strategy game of space exploration, territorial conquest, political domination, and more. So that's right on the homepage. That's the hook. That's the thing that gets someone interested. You go to someone's website, you read something, you're like, hey, yeah, that sounds cool. Well, let's just break that down really quick. Space exploration. Nah, that doesn't exist. Maybe the UE-5 is going to give it, but definitely Sage, there was no exploration. The whole map was exposed. Territorial conquest. Okay, this sounds like combat. Yeah, we know combat doesn't exist yet, so not a problem. Political domination. So we got the guilds, but we don't have any way to organize within the Star Atlas thing. Yeah, there was supposed to be a DAC platform. Yeah, it's coming. It's supposed to come in December, but not here yet. It's supposed to be a DAO and policies and things you're going to vote on it. Yeah, that got put on the back burner because of reduction in team staff. Okay, again, I'm not criticizing the team, but this is the core mission that they have told people who might be interested. Space exploration, territorial conquest, political domination, and more. Okay, well, let's use more. More could have been, etc., other. What do we have? Well, we have the hope of a racing game. And again, nothing wrong with that. Great way to get in there. And in fact, I'm going to be, I think, blunt in the sense that we keep looking at all these quote-unquote extra small ships, and they've all had the type of racer. So in some senses, this could have been built in from the beginning. I mean, kind of always joked, one of the little Pierce ship is a space thing, but there's no cockpit around it. And even in the current one, you're just sitting on it out in space. Sure, you're in a spacesuit, but I mean, come on, that's not a spaceship to go between stars. So again, racing could have always been baked into the DNA of the UE-5 thing, so no problem. A shooter. Now that one is definitely showing up now, especially with the latest version of the bot thing. And then even the Metagravity thing, they were accidentally during the test, I guess there was some bug that if you got too close, you automatically knifed or hit somebody or something. I don't know. Anyways, so obviously now it's a shooter. But racing and shooting are not space exploration, are not territorial conquest, are not political domination. They are more. And they could be places to get us there. But as someone who got the idea from the original video of exploring space, yeah, it doesn't exist. Obviously, combat's not there. DAO could have been there, the DAX could have been there, but they haven't. So, are we targeting racers? Are we targeting third-person shooters? Are they the gateways, the bridges to the larger things? Again, sure, why not? All makes sense, but whatever. Moving on. Sage, again, now I'm starting to hear conflicting comments on whether or not it'll exist, but it was like I was always under the impression it's going to have a new game ID. So basically everything that exists now will go away and we'll have to start a new game. But kind of in the Atlas brew, it sounded like, well, no, they'll just connect the same. And I'm like, but you guys told us they were going to have to build star bases, so don't the current star bases have to go away? But again, I'm not really trying to nitpick on that. It's just more of the fact that the things we have now maybe are development for the future things, but they won't exist in the future. Maybe racing will always exist. Maybe shooting will always exist. I don't know. But Sage, and maybe it's partly because there's no racing, there's no shooters, and the showroom has very limited replay and engagement. But Sage was supposed to be about, you can replay. But again, get back on my own personal take. I guess I just want to play something fun, or at least have some goal to accomplish. And again, if Sage is going to change, and then we'll have star bases and loyalty points, and that's going to get rid of the RFRs, which got rid of the golden tickets, which again, month later, golden tickets, whatever. I just want something fun to play. So here's my summary and kind of wrap this up. I guess I'm feeling more and more that I am not the target audience for Star Atlas. I thought I was. I hope I am for the future, but maybe I'm not. Because again, there's $13,000 ships coming out. I guess if you're a whale, sure, you can buy that. And again, if you bought it, it's got a lot of benefits to playing Sage right now. Lots of gains if you could transport lots of cargo. But I can't. And even though I'm enjoying Score now, because at least I'm earning some Atlas, I realized if you step back, it's not for me either. It only became interesting once I got my big, I don't even remember what I got now. X6? 9? I don't know. Medium ship? Small ship? Whatever. Not an extra small. A bunch of extra smalls for a year. And then I got a birthday or Christmas present and got a bigger ship. And now I get a decent amount of Atlas. But if I was just the little ships, No, my Atlas was barely anything. So, again, score seems like for whales too. So everything's for whales. Guess you got to pay. Somebody's got to pay you to develop a game. Again, and team's been upfront about this. They didn't want to develop in secret for 2 or 3 years, take funding, and then come out with a game that you pay $60 for. And again, we'll use the most current one that came out that's typical is Starfield. Yeah, apparently it's in development for 10 years or something. Okay, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that development cycle, but I can't fund you. I don't even if I had the money, this is not where my money goes. Sorry. House, car, mortgage, kids, groceries, you name the list. Buying a $13,000 NFT, nah, it's not on there. But I'm starting to think more and more that on the other hand, racing game's not for me. Shooter game, maybe, but getting old. I don't have the reflexes anymore. I'm sure I'll get shot all the time. And on the other hand, if you like those gameplay styles, there's already tons of other games you can play right now. When you say the racing game is kind of like Mario Kart, well, you could just go play Mario Kart. Sure, you don't own Mario Kart, but anyways. So, what is Star Atlas then? Right now. What is it right now? And I'm not sure anymore. And the only thing I can say for sure that I know it is if you want to watch a game being developed. And there is something kind of cool about that. Something cool about being part of a community. Something cool about seeing the next feature and getting excited. But it doesn't sustain you very long. And I don't know. Maybe this roadmap will re-excite me. Maybe the next version of Sage, where we get to work as a faction to build a star base or something and earn loyalty points for how much effort we put in. Maybe all those things will kind of change my opinion. But again, who's a target gamer for Star Atlas? I don't know. I really don't. And then it kind of dawned on me, why don't I? I'm just the normal oldie person, oldie gamer. Gamer has been doing it for way too many decades. Just a gamer. I'm not a guild leader, not a whale. Just a gamer who wants to play some games. It is kind of cool watching it being developed. That's cool. But why? And kind of had this final thought. Who are the current employees now of Star Atlas? They're developers. A couple of economics people, community people. Again, all those people are doing great work. There's lots of awesome development stuff. Sage, don't get me wrong, is cool. All 3 versions, 3D version. The economy, this thing, I don't understand it, but yet I kind of feel like I do. And again, I'm throwing blockchain in all this. I'm sure there's blockchain developers too, and it's amazing that we're doing transactions and Solana and this and that and all that. And the community team's great. Showing up regularly in Discord, weekly meetings, total as much as they can share. They're sharing. Again, that's all great. But who else is Star Atlas? Again, their Instagram account, old. Facebook account, old. Articles on the website, none. Medium articles, once on Blue Moon. Is this who the team is? Now, again, I'm not criticizing the team. They suffered a change in revenue and things like that. Again, but I'm a gamer. I want a game, but I also want to feel part of the future and what's coming. And where's my space exploration? Where's my territorial conquest? Where's my political domination? I don't have any of those. So anyways, I know I've been kind of rambling. Might have just been a hard week, but I didn't engage much with Star Atlas this week. Community Week's cool, but still a month away. And watching a great video on Chimerian Score and Sage from Beyond the Horizon really got me thinking, 30-some Atlas. Why am I doing either one of them? Anyways, so I know this is kind of a weird place to end it, but this is just how I thought this week and how kind of some of the things that came out made me think. But again, I'm not even hopeful. That's not the right term. This is just what it is. And again, I kind of said this on some of the releases in December. and other things, that this is just what it is. And it sure feels, at least this first month, different than it felt last year. Maybe it's because I've been in this thing now for 2 years, and I'm not even upset I don't have anything to show for it. I'm not even upset that the game style isn't showing progress. It's just, I don't know. Maybe this is how people just lose interest in things when they just aren't engaging. And that could be any hobby. And again, this is a hobby to me. I don't feel like this is an investment. I always wanted just to play a game. There isn't a game. So I'll just leave it at that, because I'm babbling and taking too much of your time and not providing you any content other than just hearing what I have to say. So let me just go ahead and wrap it up. Again, if you want to get my weekly newsletter of all the other Star Wars news, so you too can come up with your own ideas on what you think about everything, please go to intergalacticherald.com, look for the news recap, type in your email. Again, there'll be pop-ups there, so you probably won't be too hard to find it. I do still have 2 Star Wars projects I'm slowly working on. One is my merch store. Please go to intergalacticgear.com, sign up for my merch survey. And if you like to hang out with hopefully other people that think like me, and they're just gamers and want to talk about Star Atlas, hopefully someday we'll get into some strategy, or again, we could probably talk about strategy right now. And maybe that's ultimately the problem. Talking to yourself is, well, weird. So if you want to talk to other people, please go to intergalacticcoalition.com, fill out my interest survey, and maybe we'll get a few people together and we can chat about this. So to wrap that up, my name is Matt. I'm with the Intergalactic Herald. Have a great week ahead.